Hello, my name is Keanu Keaton Boyce, and this is going to be a breakdown of my financial simulation for my Hospitality 310 Analyzing Financial Accounting class. So, if we are ready, we're actually just going to go ahead and dive right on into this. So, we'll start off actually with our APV. If you look, our APV is actually at 629.76 million, actually a little under our goal of 800. We're actually going to go into a little bit of detail of why I chose specifically this simulation, because I feel like I understand why it's under 800. That being said, if you look, we actually were able to make great increases into our revenues through some of our investments. We were going to move from 2009's 245.75 million to 353.36 million for current revenue, increasing over 100 million. Operations and net income actually just about doubled as well too. If you look, from our 22.6 to 40.61, and 13.56 to 24.36. A majority of our revenue actually took place in our retail division as well too. I feel like there's a that specifically is the reason why I chose this simulation. I tried to shoot for more of a general brand ideal for this simulation. I wanted to create an ideal that focused more on actually retail, that focused on the books, focused on clothing lines, focused on actually making sure that we were improving the distributing of our product, whether it be investments in our computer systems, our actual distributing areas that we went through, and you'll see later on through some of my project investments which exactly I chose. So with that being said, we're actually just gonna go ahead and move right along to our income statement and balance sheet. So on our income statement, you can actually see that our net income for and then income statement is going to give us an actual projection as well too, up into what we should be gaining as far as the investments that we made into 2024. So 2024, we're actually making a net income of 50.62 million, which again is actually over double for our 2014, which is going to be 24.36 million. Which is a great increase, a great number to actually go off, and looks good for other possible companies and business that may happen in the future as well too. Um, if you look as well too, we actually have an increase here in our earnings before taxes in 2023 to 2024, where our general increase was around 6 million. We actually have an increase in 7 million, which I feel like is the main reason why our net income is actually increasing so much. A lot of it actually came from our net sales. If you look, our net sales is actually increasing greatly throughout each year, whether it be by 20 million or actually a consecutive 20 to 30 million each actual year going forward. And if you look down here, our current assets and actually our total net assets are actually increasing as well too. There is never a point where we actually see our total or current assets take a dip down. They're constantly actually going up by a steady margin. So it shows that we're actually making, bringing in products that we can actually make a profit off of, instead of goes into a point to where we're actually barely making any improvement throughout years. You're looking at even 6 million worth of total assets, current assets that's actually improving here between 2017 and 2018. As well as this, if you look at our liabilities are actually increasing as well, but they are actually greatly offset by our current assets at the time, even over 100 at certain times. If you look at in 2020, we already have over $103 million in we have actually over 103 point close to 0.95 over our total current liabilities in 2020. All right, and so we're actually going to move on to our statement of cash flows and to get a better picture of exactly where all of our finances are actually coming from through our investments. So this is going to be the main sheet that kind of tells you exactly what all is going on in your company. So this is extremely important. So this will be diving in very thoroughly. All right, and this one also gives you a projection for up to 2024, so a 10-year projection from your current year. And if you look, we're actually making 71.28 million compared to our 39.37, which is an increase of 31.91 million, which is, I would say, pretty good. Definitely a decent increase in finances as well too. Um, but the main number you really need to be focusing on would be this number right here, would be your ending cash balance. Your ending cash balance is pretty much the money that you have left after you take your money from operations, and it gets actually subtracted by the money that you spent in investments and the money that you spent in financing, and then this will be your ending number that you have in your ending cash balance, which if you look is actually pretty good because it actually never goes below double digits projections from 2014 to 2024, and actually just about doubling again from 2014. I would like this number to be a little bit higher, honestly, especially starting with just 10 million. Again, I feel like you'll see in some of the investments that I made why this number is kind of low, and we did take a little bit of a hit as far as the year 2013 to 2014. But yeah, we keep our operating income a lot higher than our investments and our financial expenses throughout the entire simulation. Honestly, on here, I would like to drop off my expenses, especially on investments, a little bit. They do take a little bit of drop from 2015 and 2016, dropping 2 million and then kind of has to build back up. But 20 million in expensive is just taking out a big portion of that actual operating income that I actually have coming in. So definitely something I would like to keep an eye on, and something that we would have to improve, hypothetically, of course, in the future of this company. But back to the actual income that we have coming from our operations. If you look, there is an increase in the income close to 2 million each year. There anything from 2 to 5 million. Actually, we have a significant jump from 4 million right here from 2023 to 2024. And investments on cash flow statement shows a steady increase of about 1 million. So that's not too bad. Investments increasing by 1 million each year. At least it's not the number's still high, but at least it's not a large amount of actual I guess expense getting added on each year as well too. 1 million is something we can actually live with as a company as well. And if you look at our cash flow as far as financing, the increase here is a little bit larger, especially from 2014 to 2015. We had an increase of 5 million as far as our finances go, at least as far as our future projections have. I'll go into detail when we get into our projects that I invested into 2013, and that'll show you exactly why we're kind of having this large financing issue for 2015. Again, something that you would be able to adjust to is just the simulation is over, so I mean it's kind of hard to increase numbers without any actual further investments taking place. All right, and like I said, we're going to go into a little bit more detail of this, so we're actually going to move over into our production consolidation tab and go into a little bit more detail of exactly where our finances were as far as production. right, and to break down these numbers a little bit further, we're actually going to hop over to our project details. Our project details will give you a little bit more of a generic idea of how exactly they affected your statement of cash flows, because they'll give you a breakdown if the projects were successful or not, and that will tell you if you actually made income and if your investment actually made a difference as well. So we'll hop right back into it. As far as our production takes place, I feel like actually making investments to keep your upkeep well, and your facility and your warehouse is actually in good condition and actually able to function and improve your production levels, was a essential feat to some of the actual increase in APV that we had as well too. So if we go back to our project updates, like replacement assembly equipment at the Sacramento facility, it says the new machinery performed as expected. New inventory control system for the warehouse. Inventory saving associated with the new systems were marginally greater than projected, and even improving software. The new system performed better than expected with regard to SG&A and working capital savings. So it shows you that the investments that you made here actually made improvements on some of your income for operations for your statement of cash flows. If you look, we have positive throughout for operations, and even taking a dip in 2015 from the 11 million that we for investments to not only needing to invest 10 million for 2015. Yeah, so these investments are crucial for your success of your business. If you look actually from operations in 2024, by the end, it is the area where we're actually making the most money, and with ending cash balance being 7.31 million. So I mean, it's a main factor in this 20.37 million, because all these three add up to your company consolidation. So you have to keep an eye and making investments on like the actual upkeep of your facility and improving the actual execution of your company is crucial in order to be successful in management. Okay, and with that being said, we'll go ahead and look into more of our retail consolidation. Retail was again was one of our other main features that I said we try to focus on as far as our brand for the company go, and we'll see how some of the actual investments and the project updates affected our retail side of profit that we had coming in. So investments like retail expansions in the Northeast. It says here, new Northeast retail operations generated more revenue than expected and were profitable right away. Dolls of the World is also a great investment, I suggest as well too, because you have to think as a company, you don't want to stay local forever, especially as a company that's wanting to grow and be as big as this one is as well too. So having an initiative that actually includes multicultural programs and actually includes your market overseas is something that you should definitely shoot for, especially if your company is prepared to do so. And so that's why even when it goes back to ideals like production as well too, you have to choose a time whenever your company is ready to make those expansions as well too. So if you look, even after I made that, that was when I chose to make my investments in the improvement of my facilities as well too, 2 years afterwards. We also even chose to expand to England in 2013, and even says boutique sales were stronger than expected due to a large part of the Dolls of the World in Europe. So it even shows you that choosing to invest in Dolls of the World affected your profits that you made in England whenever you made this. Again, showing the importance of creating a general brand and selling that image to the customer. It will improve your actual sales at the same time as well. And so if we actually move back to our retail consolidation tab over on our statement of cash flows, you can even see far as financing goes, in 2014 and 2015, we're actually making a profit in our financial area, which is extremely good because if you look in every other area, and even in our production, besides in 2015 as well too, who we're making 2014 we're making a profit as well. It's negative. You're losing money. So the fact that you're actually making money back from your financials is extremely well, and also sets you up well for the year of 2016, to where you're owing less than 1 million back to the company as well too. So that is extremely well, and it shows what the investments in your company can actually benefit you at the end of the day as well. And we'll move on to our licensing consolidation tab. This one, really not too much to really look at here. Our operations, again, is strictly mostly positive here. We do see a drop off here far as licensing goes in 2016. But if you look, there's not many too high of an actual expense that actually comes with the licensing as well too. Financing, yes, there is a little bit of a higher expense, and there's not too much real profit that's really coming from here. It does start to increase gradually as time goes on, but far as the licensing, you're not going to gain too much money from it. But I mean, it's always good to set up investments, and kind of also helps with the brand as well too. So we'll go ahead and move on to some of our project details, and I'll go into a little bit of some of the ideas I had for our discount rate, because this little guy right here can be both a blessing and a curse. So go into a little bit of my experience with that. All right, so here we'll actually go into the ideals that my general focus whenever it came to investments for what projects I chose. The main details that I truly looked at were be the payback period, honestly, and the NPV. NPV is actually going to tell you exactly how much you can actually gain back far as profit goes from a company, and payback period will tell you how much you're actually like how long it'll actually take you to receive your money. So for me, if it was I always like in the actual the decide tab, there was a way that you can actually order your investments in order of the payback period, and so I would click to put them in order of payback period, and then choose by size of NPV as well too. So like for example, one of the ones that I chose, and this tab actually lets you choose the percentage that you want to actually invest in for the project as well too, and you can alter the percentage as well too. But I didn't alter too many. One of the ones I chose was the bookstore and writers club. It was a one of medium risk, because it'll show you exactly how risky it is, and how if you're actually going to get money back for your investment or not as well too. And I chose to actually increase the lower the discount rate to 4%, because I wanted to increase this NPV. If you drop it down to around 4% or something, it'll bring up your NPV a little bit, so you're gaining back a little bit more from your investments. And I only chose these on ideas that I felt well in my brand. Again, if you look at the project details, before I actually made the investment in the bookstore in 2012, I had already had investments into a teen book series, and I had that ideal that I was because I did the teen book series, and the appearance of 2 titles in the series on a talk show host recommended summer reading list for kids boosted revenue growth above expectations. It showed that it made an actual improvement in the profits that I made. So invested in the bookstore and lowering the discount rate, I pretty much had a green light that this was going to increase my actual profits that I'm getting back from this investment. All right, so we're going to actually get into one of the main reasons actually why I chose this simulation in particular. which is going to be this project right here, which is going to be the virtual doll. Uh, the virtual doll had actually been pain in my neck for most of the simulations I actually went through. I mean, you would think that a virtual doll video game would be a great investment for your company, especially in the year of 2014 as well too. But I think that kind of shows you the importance of knowing exactly what you're investing as well too. I was extremely hesitant and actually waited until, if you look, 2013, the last investment year, to actually invest in Virtual Doll, and it was primarily because I had a little money left over in my budget. If you look over, the MPV is not really that high, and I had to. That's even after me adjusting the discount rate as well too, to increase the MPV as well too. But you would think as well too that as high as the internal rate of return is, that you would get a decent return on it, that people would actually um, come for it as well too. But if you look at the breakdown, it says development costs were 3 times higher than budgeted, and revenues were significantly lower. But the project was nevertheless providing to be profitable, which I had also that was one of the other reasons why I actually chose to invest in, like, my software improvement, and actually some of the improvement of some of my production. So maybe if I did make an investment like this, it wasn't so heavy on my budget as it is, as it's saying that it was projected as well too. um, and I feel like, honestly, I wish I would not have made this investment here, because I feel like that is one of the factors of why my APV was so low, was losing that money as well too. Yeah, and if you look at some of the other project details, I just chose it just because I had some of the extra money. My big investment that year was expanding to England. I tried to keep it down to one big investment per year, um, whether it be like Dolls of the World initiative, whether it be a Dolls video game. And that was another reason why I chose to go to the virtual reality virtual doll, was because I had already put out a video game, and I mean, it did say it underperformed, but I expect at least I had a a backing with it, so I assumed that it would possibly make it at least some sort of profit for me as well too, which sadly I was mistaken. All right, and so we're actually going to go to our historical financials right now. This will be the breakdown of from everything that me starting in 2009 to me ending in 2014. If you look again, I just about doubled, and that's pretty much the narrative of this. Is I just about doubled my profits for everything as well too. Again, it's positive. It can be a lot better. I would like it to be a lot better, but this is something that I feel like I understand to why some of the investments weren't the wisest ones that I made on licensing as well too. This one is actually the full breakdown of everything too. To where if you look, we went from 11.11 million to 24.36 million here on this financial statement of net income. So was actually able to increase greatly as well too, by over 11 million. And the earning before taxes, we're sitting at 47 million, so about just as high as our on our income statement for net income as well too. So yeah, so we'll actually sit and take a look at this historical financial sheet, and this will just be again the breakdown of everything that's going on from your first investment, well, first starting at 2009 to where you are now in 2014. Um, yeah, if you look at it, really, like, profit stayed fairly high as far as net income is. We're making over 24 million, but we just kind of just took a little extra losses in area, like our SGA was over 151 million that we're actually paying for by 2014, which is just a little bit high. And cost of goods sold was around 140 as well too. So with just having those numbers just as high as they are, they kind of bit me in the butt a little bit. And like even these ones jumping 10 million each year, and the jump of 20 million from 2012 to 2013, and cost of goods sold just kind of bit me in the butt a little bit. So that's another factor of what may have limited my APV as well too. So be reading over and really breaking down the project investments and seeing which ones that really like went well together, like again Dolls of the World and my English expansion, um, uh, TV shows, and like stuff from my tween book series, and my where's my coffee shop investment as well too. Yeah, bookstore and cafe writers club. Um, Even getting it like profits higher than expected. Just seeing like projects actually went well together as well too, and helped me turn that profit that I needed. Um, Without me using all of my budget even as well too, because I feel like an issue in some of my earlier ones was me being hesitant to spend money as well too, not realizing that you need to spend money in order to get that money back. um, and again, just realizing that at the end of the day, like this is just important as like not overthinking it, as of like how we said in class, a dollar today is worth more than a dollar tomorrow. So when can you get me my dollar, and how much is your dollar actually worth, is just really that simple, and kind of creating my own kind of return, required rate of return, to go with their expected rate of return. So I mean, yeah, it. I feel like this investment, this simulation, really shows, really was the one that taught me kind of how everything really went down, and the best way to kind of set up a company's investments. So um, I believe this is going to be the conclusion of my presentation. I would like to thank you for your time, and we'll be looking forward to future work. Thank you.